call the meeting to order. It's 7:01. And we'll take a quick attendance so far. So yeah, I was watching the school committee meeting and they don't actually call roll. They just see who's here. Sherry, are you okay counting for everyone who's here and who's not here? And yeah, obviously it's 7:02, so we may have a couple people joining us late. Let's see. So if anyone has an idea for the check-in, please feel free to ask a question. And if not, I can think of one on the fly.
Well, I'm super craving desserts right now after the marathon. So what if our favorite cupcake or cake flavor, maybe? I don't know. Something dessert to eat after whatever. Mine definitely, I don't even care what kind, but I love lemon. So lemon cupcakes are my favorite. Still trying to find the best one around town, but I haven't had it yet. Hopefully tomorrow.
Yes, and I think you definitely earned it. Hi, Teresa. Benny will be joining us. She was just coming from the Veterans Advisory Board meeting. So who wants to say their next? And our topic is your favorite dessert or cake or cupcake flavor. Go ahead, Sherry.
Anything chocolate. I'm not a big cupcake fan, but the most chocolate ice cream you could possibly give me is my favorite dessert. And you can't get it in the United States, but in Europe, you can get ice cream flavor called black chocolate, which is the deepest chocolate you could buy anywhere. And you wait online for it and it sells out. So that would be my favorite.
That sounds amazing. Any other volunteers? Go ahead, Elizabeth.
So I'll just say I may have to leave early tonight. I am on retreat and it may, like, what time I need to leave depends on the other people I'm with. Also, congratulations, Nicole. My favorite cupcake. So my best friend has been making this particular cupcake for over a decade, 12 years at least. And it is a wonderful chocolate cupcake, but it is filled with caramel. So you scoop out a hole and fill it with homemade caramel. And then it's got a chocolate ganache, and then you put smoked sea salt on it. And it is the most amazing cupcake ever. And she has also managed to make it a cake without making a disaster for sharing with many other people when you're but we need a big birthday cake. So that one's my favorite.
Can she make a bunch of those for all of us?
I don't know.
Maybe in September.
She says maybe in September. She's
okay.
On retreat as well.
I may hold her to that.
Don't hold her too tightly because she's getting married at the beginning of October.
All right. Oh, yeah. She might be a little busy then. All right. Who'd like to go next?
I can go. I went to Cravings for the first time over the weekend, and I loved how much dairy-free soft serve that they had. And so my go-to is usually a pistachio gelato, but then I had the pistachio dairy-free soft serve at Cravings, and I'm really excited to walk over there in the summer and getting some ice cream.
I love it. Yeah, they have a huge variety of flavors. That's very exciting. All right. Who's next?
I can go. I'm Sherry. I like anything chocolate. I'm a big chocolate lover. I also want to let you guys know that I am out of time right now. So if I have to turn off my camera or leave early, that's why.
Thanks, Yana. All right, I'll go next. So my favorite is, I am a big chocolate lover, but even more, I love a chocolate chip cookie. And even more than that, I love a skillet cookie, like right out of the oven, some either whipped cream or vanilla ice cream on top. Is a dream come true.
I can go next. We have like a new cookie obsession in the house right now, and it's crumble, and we have it delivered way too often, and they make a fantastic like peanut butter cookie with chocolate ganache on it, and it's always like changes every few weeks. But if I had to pick a cupcake, it would be super boring. It'd be vanilla cupcake with vanilla frosting, like just traditional, boring, but delicious.
Nothing wrong with a classic. All right. Teresa or Maureen, either one.
I can go if you want. So we have a cake in Chile that's, I don't know if you translate it, but it's like, it's called 1,000 layers cake. So it's you have to cook like each, and it has dulce de leche in it, which is what we call manjar, but it's like caramel. And then my mom puts like nuts on top of it. So then you have the crunch, you know, like all the layers and then the stuff in it. So it's really, really sweet. It's really good. I have a really big sweet tooth, so I really like that. But not everybody makes it the right way. So I like my mom's recipe, but that's my favorite. Thank you.
Love it.
Awesome job, Nicole. Congrats.
Yes, hello everyone. Maureen, she, her, hers. Congratulations, Nicole. So proud of you. All desserts are my favorite, but chocolate, like cake, cupcakes, ice cream, and then I'm a big fan of key lime. So friends will like bring me key lime from everywhere. Like if they see it, because it's not that common, they'll be like, "We got you this key lime tart," or so. I kind of can tell you all around here who has key lime in season, which is very nice of my friends, but also key lime cheesecake is my favorite. So the tarts don't do it, but then I just let it go and I eat it anyway.
Sounds good. All right, thank you.
Sorry to make your mouth water too early in the day, Maureen.
It's okay. It's almost time, so no worries.
Yeah, and if you need to break your fast with a date on screen, please, you are welcome to it. All right. So going on with our agenda, Nicole, do you want to? I mean, we all know Maureen, but I don't know if you wanted to say anything before.
Yeah, we have Counselor Maureen here today. She's going to talk to us a little bit about Ramadan, so we have a better understanding for those of us who need it or who don't. But everyone, it's good to know. So yeah, she's going to talk, and then she'll have a few minutes for questions at the end.
Awesome. And Maria, so I just made a presentation to help gather my thoughts. So can I screen share?
I will. So Benny is coming on right now. I'm
Okay.
going to ask her. Hi, Benny. Benny, if you can claim host and then let Maureen do that, because I didn't get the host key beforehand. So Benny's going to hook you up.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't even think to send you the host key. Yeah, let me do it right now. That probably means you haven't had any captioning the whole time I've been gone too.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're right. I apologize for that.
It's okay. Okay. Okay, captions are on. Okay, see if you can share your screen now. Minnie.
Great. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you, Nicole and others for inviting me. The way that my brain thinks, I needed to just put in some slides. So I did. I was asked to speak about Ramadan. As some of you know, said, it is the month of Ramadan. I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. And my first slide is just to say we have great resources. My resources tend to be children's books, which you can get at the library. That's a picture of books that I have. So if anyone wants to borrow any, this is the level that I am at. I am saying all of this as I look at Elizabeth. I am not a religious expert. Do not have a degree in theology or Islamic studies. This is just my personal, the way that I observe my faith and my religion. So every individual, like most religions, like Catholicism, Judaism, there's a spectrum of how people observe. It is very personal. There is no right way or wrong way. So this is not how all Muslims observe. This is just kind of me observing. So I just want to set that tone. If you want expert, we can find you some experts, but I am a lawyer. I am not an imam or a religious scholar. So just like to put that out there, but children's books are great. And these did not exist when I was younger. Our library has many of these. Our library is great about kind of having books about Islam and other faiths. So check them out. They likely have adult books as well. So just a little bit about timing, because I'm sure a lot of you are kind of, you might remember that last year, or you might remember when you were in college or younger, that Ramadan seemed to be at a different time. So we in Islam go by the lunar calendar, and we don't adjust it like the Jewish faith seems to adjust their calendar. And so their holidays are kind of, at the same time, whether it be September or April. That means that our calendar every year, Ramadan is 10 to 12 days earlier. So when I was in college, Ramadan was in December, and now it's in April. So it basically does a whole year about every 36 years. Does that make sense? So my friends who knew me in high school, college are like, what? It used to be in December. Like, we remember you fasting over Christmas, and now it's in April. So every year, this year it started on April 2nd. Last year, it likely started on April 13th, right? So every year it kind of goes 10 days earlier. And it starts, because we go by the lunar calendar, it starts when there's a crescent moon. So in the old days, before we had telescopes and science, people would really go outside and look. And when you saw the crescent moon, you would say, oh, it's the new month. It's the month of Ramadan. And so our calendar was never so precise. It's gotten much more precise. And I shared on this as kind of our Ramadan prayer schedule. So you can see that, it started April 2nd this year. It'll go till May 1st. So it's 30 days. And just a little bit more, I'll talk about this, but this calendar, which I didn't have when we were younger either, but you have to stop eating before you start seeing the sunrise. So that's about 5:03 was when it started, and every day it's a couple of minutes earlier. So this morning today's Tuesday, so it was 4:31. You have to stop eating by 4:31, and then I'll get to break my fast at 7:31. So in about 20-ish minutes. And those other columns are times that you pray 5 times a day. So just this calendar that everyone, if you usually go to a Muslim household, it's either in their phone or hung up on the fridge, and you kind of watch it every day. So there are never a month where I know when the sun is rising and when the sun is setting better than I do now. This is also for Greater Boston. So last 2 weeks ago, I was visiting my brother in Portland, Oregon, and they're more north than we are. And so the sun sets a little later. So it was about 20 minutes difference. My cousins in Toronto, it's about 30 minutes difference there. People always ask, young people in particular, ask like, well, what happens in Antarctica or Alaska when it's like, you know, sunlight all the time? So in those cases, people usually will default and kind of do what they're doing in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. They'll kind of find a more realistic place and kind of go with the timing zone of that. And just as some of you might have seen, this weekend was kind of this really great time of when the three big Judaish Christian faiths all had their holidays like on the same weekend. So Ramadan, Easter, and Passover all fell at the same time, and it happens about every 30-ish years. So in 30 years again, it'll happen again, which is kind of cool. So a little basics of Islam. So Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, or fasting during Ramadan, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So we've got 5 pillars, like the 5 things that all Muslims are supposed to do. And so fasting is one of them. And it's for 30 days that Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset. I just shared the schedule. We say that you're fasting, and that's really broad, right? But that it's not only you're not supposed to eat and drink, but you can't smoke. You're not supposed to fight. You're not supposed to swear. You're supposed to be really calm. You're supposed to abstain from kind of bad habits. And you're supposed to be more spiritual, right? So you read the Quran, you pray 5 times a day or more than that. I just put this in. Everyone, you know, Islam is the biggest religion in the world. I forgot the number, but there's over 1 billion Muslims. So the morning meal is called suhoor. The evening meal is called iftar. Maria mentioned, but most Muslims break their fast with a date. I looked it up. It is in our holy book, the Quran, it is the fruit mentioned the most. So Muslims all over the world break their fast with a date. And at the end of 30 days, we have a 3-day holiday called Eid al-Fitr, which is called the Feast of Breaking Fast. And so it is one day where everyone meets, you start your day praying together. You're supposed to wear new, clean clothes. You give gifts to each other, and then you basically feast all day. That's all you do all day, is you continuously eat. So that's kind of the basics of the month. And why do we do this? So you always get questions about why you do it. It is really about understanding charity. One of the other pillars of one of the other 5 pillars is charity. So one of the tenets of my faith is that you're supposed to give to charity. And so really it's a month of understanding the struggle of those living in poverty and those who are hungry, that you kind of, you know, live like them and understand their struggle, and have some empathy and sympathy at the same time. So many Muslims donate to food pantries. In other countries, people donate meals regularly. You learn about self-control. So, you know, if you're a smoker or you're addicted to coffee or you're, you know, constantly drinking water, you really learn about self-control and mindfulness, about really, you know, thinking about what you're eating and when you're eating. It really grows a deeper understanding of community and kindness, because you are giving to charity, you are understanding what somebody else's struggle is to go. I think in the US, some of you have lived abroad in Muslim majority countries, right? And it is a practice that everyone does, like, and they adjust their timing, right? So schools let out early, people close their stores early, you hear the call to prayer all day. It's kind of like everyone's in this together. But in America, that's not the case, right? But so I have a month where I get to talk about this. I get to get invited to things like this. I get to, a lot of mosques have open houses, so for people to go and visit their mosque, so visit and learn about, you know, a different religion. It really is this time to, you know, you're kind of forced to slow down and be meditative and spiritual. And then just some questions that I get every year. And like I prefaced, I am not the expert, but I get these questions every year. Yes, no water. So it means no food, no water. Yes, I can brush my teeth. I think scholars might differ on that, but yes, I brush my teeth. There's really a lot of exemptions, right? So don't assume that every Muslim you see is fasting, and don't embarrass anyone that isn't. But if you are, it's not obligatory for kids. So it's not obligatory if you take medication, if you're traveling, if you're sick, if you're pregnant, if you have your period. There's a lot of reasons that there's exemptions, and that's okay, right? Because you're still doing everything else, or like it's still a community, it's still something your family does. So there's lots of exemptions. And if people just can't do it, that's okay too. Like it's not, you should try. One of the great books I have here is called Amal's Ramadan. And I really like the story because it's about a young boy who tries and isn't able to do it, and his parents, tell him that's okay, that happens, and like you'll try again tomorrow. And that's the thing, is like, it's a challenge, but if you can't do it, it's okay, and it kind of builds up character. It really is a joyous month. It is this time again of community and celebration at the end of it. I love it. It was really hard during the pandemic of not seeing my friends and family, and so it's been nice just to gather together again. It's not, everyone says it's impossible, I couldn't do it. It does get easier. I promise it gets easier. Everyone, can do it. You'd be impressed by what you can do. I also just, as we talked about Nicole running the marathon, like there are a lot of athletes that do it. So part of it is you're not supposed to stop doing things, right? A lot of us do. So I don't really work out this month. I try not, like, that's how I kind of adjust. I kind of take it a little easier, but there are athletes. There was a great thing about a Celtics player who was not a Celtics, but a basketball player who was fasting. There's a lot of soccer players who do it. They just feel like that's how they're observing their faith, and they do it all the time. But there are people then, and that I think when you're younger too, I definitely played soccer when I did it younger, probably could not do that anymore. But just, yeah, that it does get easier, and it is all just like an individual thing. And then I just put some resources here, which maybe I'll share. I'll send to Benny, and Benny can share because I know you can't see the links, but there's just some great resources that, again, weren't around when I was growing up. But my favorite are these Ramadan pictures from around the world. So just to convey that this is like a whole worldwide experience, but everyone kind of does it the same way. So you'll see people going to the mosque, or you'll see people breaking their fast with like their favorite desserts and their favorite food items. You'll see people celebrating together. You'll see the kids kind of like, really excited, wearing their new clothes on the holiday. And I like to include this. I put 2 links to local mosques, one in Wayland that does really great tours if anyone ever wants to go, and also the big one in the Islamic Society of Boston, which is the big one in Roxbury. And I like to share the story that when my parents came over from Pakistan in they came here in like the 1970s. There was only one mosque in New England. It was in Quincy, and it was where it started by Muslims from Syria who worked at the Navy Yard, and it was the only one. So anyone from New England, if they needed a mosque, went to that in Quincy. I think there's about 30 mosques now in Massachusetts, which is just great that they've kind of everywhere. So definitely, like, if you've never been, definitely, maybe not during Ramadan because things are a little hectic, but and in Muslim majority countries, mosques are kind of open 24 hours, especially during Ramadan. So they're the ones serving the food, and people go there for resources. A lot of mosques here, they can't really be open. There's no staff to be open 24 hours a day, but they really are. They try to be open for a large part, so people still have that resource to go to. And I'm going to stop sharing and just open it up to any questions.
I have one. What would you say are the top 2 most common misconceptions about Ramadan?
Oh, that's a good question, Daniela. I think when you are younger, people think that I think people think it's a lot harder than it is, which everyone can do it, right? It's just kind of a mindset, or most people can do it, I think. So I think that's one I get a lot. And then, I don't know. I think people are every year, like friends who have known me my entire life, every year they'll be like, no water, which I just laugh. Like, I'm like, yes, I told you that last year. Like I told you that the year before. And so I think I laugh about that, I think that's that. And then what I get actually as I get older, because I think when I was younger, it was very much about food and water, right? That's kind of where my mind was. And as I got older and kind of studied it on my own, I saw that it was like, you're not supposed to swear, and you're not supposed to get in a fight, and you're really like not supposed to, you're not supposed to gossip, and you're not supposed to do all those like vices. And I think once I added that in, I was like, oh, it's a little bit more challenging than just not eating lunch, right? Like that's like to actually not read an article, or not, get in a bad meeting with a coworker, and kind of like stop yourself of like, let me take a moment, let me take a deep breath and not get that. So I think those would probably be it, is that like, it's not just food and water, that there's other things that go with it. And that, it's not torturous. It's not something that like my parents or others are making me do. I think people don't see the beauty in it. And it really is this, like, I laugh, like, so, there's a lot of people, and again, a lot of people don't fast, but the people that do, like, we're all up at 4 o'clock, and you can see like who's up posting on Facebook, who's texting each other. Like we all know we're up, right? So my mom's texting me like, what are you eating today? I'm like, what are you eating today? College students tend to like all meet up at IHOPs like early in the morning at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And that community stuff is just like such a great way. When you're younger and you start fasting, like you would ask your parents to cook your favorite meal, and that's, it's like Christmas every day. And like we were unoriginal, we'd be like, we want pizza, we want McDonald's, and like it was just this lovely, like it is such a community thing with people that you don't even know sometimes, because you're all kind of experiencing the same thing. I gave you a lot of stuff, but yeah, those are kind of things that I like to share.
That's great. Thank you.
Stephen, I see your hand. Yeah.
Mary, I'm curious because I don't know the origin story of Ramadan, and I'm curious if it has one, because I know origin stories of Passover and of Easter, and of Lent. I know a number of them. I'm not as familiar with the Islamic faith, so I was wondering, like, could you share that part of it?
Yeah, I can tell you what I know. And then, like I said before you joined, Stephen, I am not an Islamic scholar, so you might have to go to the library and get a book. None of my children's books go into that. My understanding is that our prophet, who is Prophet Muhammad, the Quran, which is I said it was 30 chapters. They were received by him during the 30 days. So he was in a cave reading. And so over 30 days, it was revealed to him. The Quran was really revealed to him. And so that's why we fast for 30 days and are supposed to read the Quran over 30 days. And there's probably a lot more there, but that's my understanding. And I did try to Google it earlier, but that's basic.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh, I have one more.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food to break your fast with?
Oh, I think anyone that's Facebook friends with me see, like, so my parents are both amazing cooks. And so they make samosa pakoras, which are like fried batter of vegetables and goodness. And that was the other thing. I think I had a bullet that I took off. So another misconception, Daniela. So everyone assumes you lose weight during Ramadan, and like that's just not true, because we eat such like not great healthy food. So very few people I know actually do lose weight during Ramadan, which undoes the self-control aspect of it that you're supposed to do. But I guess if you do it after the sun sets, then it's okay. but you know, it's funny, sometimes you have cravings. And so sometimes I'll just be like, I really want Thai food. I really want, you know, but my parents' food's pretty great. I have a lot of community members, aunts and uncles who, you know, used to host us, and everyone's got their special dish. And so you get really excited to get their special dish, I will say. And then post Ramadan, you know, I miss sandwiches, because you don't really eat sandwiches for dinner so much. And so I don't have lunches. And so I end up missing sandwiches. And then I really miss coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. And so I don't drink it at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I want to go back to bed for a couple of hours. And then I don't drink it at night. So I basically go coffee free for a couple of weeks. And so I really look forward to on Eid. People usually, you know, we all kind of go get our favorite cup of coffee and our favorite donut. But yeah, all food is great, and it's especially great when somebody else cooks it for you. So when I can get my parents to cook it for me, it's pretty spectacular.
One more question. You had mentioned you were a lawyer. I'm not sure which kind of lawyer you are, but in case you're the argumentative type, did you ever run into a situation in your history where it was during Ramadan and you had to hold back in an argument?
That's a really great question. So I don't go to court. I don't think I would hold back, but I think I definitely would like try to, you know, just not get so angry. And people slip up, right? Like, we don't live in a perfect society unless I'm gonna like sit at home all day. So you know, I definitely probably do swear sometimes when I'm not supposed to, and I probably do get angrier than I'm supposed to. I think it's all just about like being cognizant of it, you know. And so I have a lot of friends who like, I have a lot of cousins that are physicians, or kind of jobs that, you know, professors or teachers, and they really need to concentrate. And so in those days, like, they don't fast, right? It's just not, they're not on top of their game. And so I think if I was like a lawyer going to court, maybe I would like not fast those days. And you're allowed to skip. Like I said, there's a lot of exemptions. And then one great thing is, like, if you can't do it, we've kind of made it where you can like, you know, you're supposed to like donate, you're supposed to like, you know, pay charity for the days that you missed. And so then you just kind of make it up that way, is that you would kind of donate if you knew that, like, oh, I had to skip this day. So if you had like a big day, I'm trying to think, I'm sure I had exams on days where I probably didn't do it because I knew like I had exams. But yeah, it's a growth space, not getting angry, and not, you know, we're all learning and we're all evolving.
Yeah, I can imagine a moment where you stub your toe can be very challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. And right, like, it's not supposed to be punitive, or like it doesn't count. People make mistakes. Like, that was also like a misconception when we were younger, that sometimes you'd like forget and you would like chew gum, or you would like take a sip and just forget, and then be like, oh, it's ruined. And it's like, nope, you know, God's pretty forgiving, and like it wasn't done intentionally, and it's okay, you know. So there were moments where, like, yeah, if you swear or something, then, you know, you kind of accept and move on.
Great.
Can I
Well,
just-
thank you.
Sorry, it's not a question. I just wanted to like share a little story. Just when you were talking about the sense of community, it just, so when I lived in Jordan as a Peace Corps volunteer, and one of the days during Ramadan where I was going back to my village, and I was on a bus when the call to prayer came over the radio and through the mosques in the neighborhood. And the two things I remember, the second the call to prayer was issued, the number of cigarette lighters that you could hear around the bus, it was like, because you could smoke on the bus. And the other thing was, a person on the bus took out a big bag of dates and passed it around the entire bus, and everyone on the bus took their date, and they didn't know each other, but it was just like that sense of community that you just described. It was beautiful to see. And they knew that I was not Muslim, but they were like, no, take that. We want you to share breaking the fast with us. And it was just, oh my God, I was like, it was just such a beautiful moment. So
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel bad. Not a smoker. I feel bad for smokers. I think it is tough. It is an addiction like everything else. So to kind of go out without it would be tough. But yeah, it is really a sense of community. And I think in a lot of other countries, and I think we're getting better in America, but like we take the obligation of helping the hungry really seriously. So you will see a lot of people doing fundraisers for food pantries or, mosques that donate meals, and people kind of fund the mosque to donate meals. And so it's kind of this sense of really no one should really go hungry this month, that we should be able to provide meals. And so people, if they need a meal, should be able to, their neighbor or their mosque or, the food pantry should be able to provide those meals. So yeah, it is a sense of community, which is just really, and it's not just, it's not, I shared this story on Facebook, but it's really not just Muslim community, it's making that community with other people. And so I was at an event and Kathleen Kane like came up to me and she's like, the fast is breaking soon. Like, let me go make you a plate. I'm like, it's okay. I have snacks. She's like, no, like I'm going to go make you a plate. And I just was like, she's not Muslim, but was just watching the clock really closely. So it was just, it is this great sense of community. That's nice. And then you try to carry that over for the rest of the year, right? That like, I think for me that like to carry over that feelings and like, the whatever community service that you do, the charity work that you do, the like, the getting together with friends, that it shouldn't just be 1 month out of the year, that you kind of continue it on. So, yeah.
It's an interesting coincidence this year that the Walk for Hunger is on the last day of Ramadan.
Yeah.
Cool timing.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, Benny, do you want to close out or thank you?
Oh, I saw Elizabeth.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, Elizabeth. I didn't see you. Sorry about that.
I was just gonna share that among your books, you have Under the Ramadan Moon, and it is one of my favorites for like teaching a very simple, like what an experience of Ramadan is like. And so I recommend that one especially to everybody. I've used it often to teach.
Yeah, they're all great, and I've just been collecting them. So this one is also a great because we used to, our holiday used to be it's Mustafa and Arwa go on a Ramadan adventure, so they go searching for the moon, and it talks about that. So they're all great. Again, anyone wants to borrow, let me know. But our library has a pretty great selection. But yeah, I think, kids' books didn't exist when I was younger. So it's kind of nice to read them now and kind of, they had really good glossaries that I was reading up on.
Well, thank you so much, Maureen. And Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you. Thank you all. And actually, I might stay on to your meeting, but I'm gonna
go. It'll be like old times.
Yes, I know. I miss you all. So I'm gonna stay on, but thank you.
We miss you. Oh, this fills me with joy.
Make sure you eat, Maureen.
I'm going. Yep. Yes. I'll be back, but I'm here.
Okay, cool. Thank you for whoever started the meeting off while I was at the Veterans Advisory Board. Appreciate it. Okay, so then are we up to approval of the minutes? We already did public, I guess there really wasn't a public participation or whatever, but great. So then approval of the minutes. Was there any changes, additions, edits, anything to the minutes from last month's meeting from March 15th? Nope, that looks like a nope. So if that's the case, does anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. So on the motion to approve the Wakefield Human Rights Commission General Meeting Minutes of March 15th, 2022, what say you? Sherry,
Yes,
Nicole,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Daniela,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Excellent. And so then we have two subcommittee meeting minutes from the Pride Subcommittee, one from April 4th and one from April 15th. Are there any edits, additions, changes of any kind for those? I guess it's the three of us. Yeah, Lindsay can't be here tonight. And Elizabeth wasn't able to make it. So if there's no changes, would one of you like to propose a motion?
Move to approve of the HRC Pride Subcommittee meeting minutes. Both of them.
Second.
Great. Daniela, how do you vote on that?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
I am also a yes. Success. Okay, the next thing I had put on here was AAPI Heritage Month Subcommittee report back, although I know that there hasn't been an AAPI Heritage Month Subcommittee meeting. But so I don't know, Sherry, if you wanted to talk at all about what would be helpful around that, or if you need any support or anything.
we definitely need some additional support. I did speak with Donna Murphy, who I believe just was approved as a new commissioner.
Mhm.
And I talked her into helping out, but I know Donna from book group. She's a delightful person. You're going to really enjoy working with her. I wish she was here tonight. And so I will reach out to her, and Emma has already volunteered, but I know Emma's probably very busy with getting ready to go to college next year and making out applications and the like. But
Emma actually emailed me today to let me know that she couldn't be here. She's actually out of town visiting colleges right now. But she was like, let me know if there's anything I can do to help with AAPI Heritage Month. And I was like,
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on. We'll get back to you.
My greatest concern is I really would love to have it live, but I know we're going to have a plan B. And, so we'll put together, there's so many wonderful things that we can do to celebrate AAPI. There's just so many wonderful cultural things. I hope we can do them live. We can have one big celebration like we did for Hispanic Heritage. And other information that goes on the website and the like, but, one gathering, real community gathering. Do any of you have any feelings about whether you think it's going to happen? I mean, now that they've eliminated mask mandates almost everywhere, and I'm kind of nervous about that.
I mean, May is still dicey for an outdoor event, but it's possible.
Well, the way the weather has been around here, it seems like the warm weather comes earlier and then it leaves later. So we can hope. Or if you think that an outdoor event, you think it has to be outdoors rather than, let's say, at the AmeriCorps Center or something like that.
I mean, AmeriCorps is nice and big and open. I don't know. What do people think?
They had a masked Halloween time. They had that mass gathering with all the children, and that was in the AmeriCorps.
Yeah, I think you just have to look at their schedule, because I know, but I know when I looked at it, but obviously it was in the fall, they had a lot of like basketball games and things going on in the afternoon. So I know that was kind of an issue for me, but I don't know. I think, yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I think, I think that maybe we'd want to do that. Well, I'll check the dates. And I'll look at the long-term forecast. And I'm going to, again, ask the wonderful community members who helped us last time if they would participate. And of course, the map is at Maria's house. So I'll need to get it from Maria's house, and we'll have that posted sooner this year because we have it. We don't have to wait for the delivery like we did last time. And I hope that we have things to report to you, solid plans. We have to have solid plans by the next meeting because it's coming.
APA Heritage Month is May, right?
Yeah, it actually it's May, but last year we ended up overlapping a bit into June because of how late we got the map, but May is a very busy month for everybody. Mother's Day, Father's Day, just college graduations. Everybody's getting married right now, it seems. There's like weddings all over the place. So, I will have to check with the AmeriCorps Center. And like I said, it could be a weeknight that, in fact, that probably would work best. Less conflict with the special weekend celebrations people do in May. So I will, like I said, I will gather up Donna and Emma and plan a meeting and start talking about it. And maybe like I said, some of our wonderful mothers can help us again. Because I'd love to have, me, it's going to be food, music, and dancing. Because those are the things that I think are really joyous and help people better appreciate cultures different than their own. It's a good opening to appreciate cultures that are different than their own. Okay, that's all.
Cool. Thanks, Jerry. Okay, Pride Subcommittee report back. Daniela or Eileen, does either of you particularly want to give a rundown on what we've been working on?
Sure. So I think we've sort of decided that we're hoping to do 3 specific events. So the first one is June 1st with the flag raising. And hopefully we'll have some students from the Galvin, maybe from the high school, come with, maybe poetry readings or a song or something like that at the flag raising itself. And then at the raising, we'll also have hopefully some stand-up posters that with different flags from the LGBTQ community, with some information there. Also, we'll have a music event at the lake I always forget the date, June 19th, I think. And so we're thinking maybe early afternoon with some vendors. We're excited about that. Maybe some food vendors too, we'll see. And then the third is a panel of community members, both part of the community and also, of course, allies, which are also part of the community, participating as well. We'll have a moderator. So that's still in process, but we're excited. I think it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I'm also still hoping to pull together an interfaith service for Pride. I have an invitation out to my colleagues, but haven't heard from anybody yet. And if it ends up being the Elizabeth show, it might end up being something really different because I'm not interested in the Elizabeth show. But I also need to reach out further. What I don't want is I don't want it to be just like a handful of Christians and like the synagogue and us. So I'd like to reach out more broadly than that to folks who have personal practices at home of Buddhism or pagan practices. Maureen, if you know anyone who would be interested, I'd love to have folks, and I'm also going to reach out through Facebook to some queer Muslim communities in the greater Boston area. So hopefully pulling that together, but also not if I'm the only one doing it because I don't have the capacity for that.
Is there anything that would be helpful from us?
If you know people who would be interested, like you already know that there's someone who's like, oh, blah, blah person from whatever tradition, any tradition, literally, who would love to be part of this service, then like Yes, absolutely. I would love for that. You're welcome to give that person my email address and send them my way.
Can I just ask a quick question? Do you know what time the concert is on the 19th?
So our permit is from noon to 3, I think. So I was figuring we would set up. Maybe the concert starts at noon. It's one artist. Her name is Cece Eberly, perhaps. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Yeah, so I don't imagine her set is going to be like very long, and then another hour or so to hang around, eat ice cream or whatever is going on, something like that. And Elizabeth generously pulled some like very rapid strings to get us a rain space, so that this event is going to, if the weather permits, be on the common by the bandstand. And if it's raining, it turns out we can use the UU church in their, like, perhaps the fellowship hall or whatever it's called downstairs.
Yep. So we have access to the whole church, and upstairs has both better acoustics and more space, but is also a no food space. So we could certainly do like concert, and then if you want to hang out and do food downstairs, we could do the whole thing downstairs. I'd love for the Pride Committee to come over at some point and see the space so we get a sense of it, just so that if we need to use that rain contingency plan, we all have a sense of like what the space looks like and what we're working with.
Cool. Thank you for doing that. I sent Elizabeth an email one day, and the next day, and she was like, I talked to the like committee and this person, and we're all set. It's like,
yes,
wow.
The gratitude all goes to Elizabeth Lowry, who is a member of my church and handles our space use. I emailed her and she got back to me very, very quickly and said like, yeah, absolutely. Let's give the HRC the space.
I'm very grateful. I was worried because I was like, oh, dang, this is on a Sunday afternoon. Like, that's when churches have stuff. But I feel excited about it.
That's after the end of our year. We break during the summer, and that's our first Sunday off.
Great timing.
Benny, can you spell the musician's name?
Yeah, her first name is Cici. Cecilia, I think, and her last name is Eberle, I think. Eberle.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. What else? So we had a couple questions for the commission. One is, we're hoping to buy more, like flags, buttons, swag, stuff like that. We have some, but probably not enough for like 2 like big events. We're having the flag raising and we're having the pride, what do you call it, the concert. And so always having flags to give out, having stickers or whatever it is, some kind of stuff. And so some of that, I don't actually have a great idea of how much we should buy. Like how many flags do we really need? How many buttons do we need? But we wanted to check in about the possibility of certainly buying flags and possibly also buying either stickers or buttons. Does anybody know what we bought last year?
I feel like you had a lot of flags because I know we gave those out at the lake for whenever we were doing that table, and the kids love the flags.
I love it.
I know that went real quick, and the pins obviously, but I think the flags were a huge hit.
And we may want to consider stickers instead of buttons because of the limitations of our budget. And I'll get to that a little bit later because we went well over, like more than 25% over budget this time.
Yeah, it's
I'll
probably true.
explain
You can
that.
get way more buttons for the dollar than way more stickers for the dollar than you can buttons.
Sure. And since so many people who want them are the small children, I think they're just as happy having a sticker because they'll promptly lose the button.
Totally. Is anybody here somebody who bought either stickers or flags in the past? Do we know how much we've been buying them for? Okay, we might have to do some digging.
Which is, again, something that when we get to financial, I can address with you guys, because we do have to change our ways going forward so we can keep better track.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
Amy Rando bought stickers in the past. So she might be a good person to ask.
Okay.
I bought just general WHRC buttons from affordablebuttons.com. And I can check the receipt of how much. I think I got 300 for maybe $45. I think the receipt is in the other room. I could even go grab it. But yeah, if you're doing stickers, I have not purchased stickers or flags.
I'm wondering what, if we want to vote potentially on expending funds on flags and stickers, what we should vote on if we don't actually know. If we don't know what they might cost.
I feel
So-
like if somebody just wanted to write Sherry, so Sherry would have the receipts from last year, because you would have to have given receipts to get reimbursed. So we could Sherry Dalton at the town manager's office, not Sherry Oken. So we can figure out what you did last year and then just kind of redo it. I agree. I think everything goes, right? So it's just a matter of like, is 200 the right number or 300 the right number? Because I think they also don't go out of style, right? We don't like put the year on them or anything, but also think stickers are great. Stickers aren't that expensive either, because I personally bought stickers, just like Googling and found a website, and it was like, I think it was like $14 for like 500 stickers.
Yeah, I feel like stickers are super cheap.
First glance at, without scrolling much, like mini handheld flags run about $14 for 50 flags for the Progress Pride flags. You can get them cheaper if you're looking for like just a 6-color rainbow, but I think that consistency, knowing that we raise the Progress flag, would be really great. And I think that then gives us a more inclusive flag.
So let's see. So if we did maybe 200 flags, that would be $56 plus whatever you just said, Marion, about stickers, like $15 or something for stickers. So that would be 71. So call it $75, say. Would we be okay with spending $75 on stickers and buttons?
Yes.
Do we make a motion for 100 in case we have to pay extra for shipping? Just to cover, but like aim for 75 and just have the approval for a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, what do people think?
I think that makes sense.
I'll make a motion to budget for a maximum of $100 to purchase flags and buttons for Pride commemoration.
Or flags and stickers, sorry.
Flags and stickers, I'm sorry. So a maximum, I'm typing at the same time, maximum of $100 to purchase handheld flags. Progress flags. I'll add that in there. And stickers for our Pride commemoration.
Seconded.
Okay,
Okay, any other comments or discussion about that, or should we vote on it? Okay, let's, Sherry, how do you vote?
yes,
Maria,
Yes.
Daniela, Eileen,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Nicole.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Thrilling. Okay, so then we can, who on the Pride Committee would either Eileen or Daniela would you be willing to kind of price out some, like whatever's the most affordable option for stickers and
Yeah.
flags? And speaking of stickers, so I sent it in the meeting materials, but Yana made some bomb ass artwork for us to use as usual. So we had talked about using some of that artwork for like flyers, social media posts, and one of them in particular is like well formatted. This one, could be good for a sticker. Yeah, totally. Beautiful. So hopefully we can even get custom stickers, like with that image on them. So what else about Pride? Any other questions for us or updates that we have forgotten to mention that Daniela or Eileen that you can think of?
Flag policy, or is that?
That's
just-
another agenda item. It's a couple more items down. We'll get there. No? Okay, cool. Well, it's going to be great. I'm totally stoked. We're going to have a good, I feel like the juices are flowing. It's good. Awesome. Okay, so that's that. Juneteenth. I don't know, Nicole, if you want to say anything or
Sure.
yeah, go ahead.
We're on the calendar for the 15th. She just wanted to know what time we wanted to do it. And are we going to have a poet from her, from the Juneteenth Association for them to find someone, or if we have someone, and honestly, like I haven't been really thinking on that. So my suggestion is that we get a poet or a singer from her, if we can, and pay for that, and raise the flag. She's just asked what time, and I had her pencil in 5 o'clock, but it could be earlier. I can't remember what time we did last year. So
I also can't remember, but I bet my calendar will tell me.
Was it 6? I don't know why that came up back in my head.
I just know it was raining.
I remember that too, yeah.
Yeah.
I can,
Oh, yeah, it was totally raining. It was 6, yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
I think.
We could. Put on
Does that sound good? Should we ask for 6 o'clock
my-
again?
6 o'clock is good. Yeah, I can put it on.
We did
Or
change
6
it.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. And does the group feel like we want like a singer or a poet, or
It was
or
really
what
nice
do we
having
want?
a singer last year.
Yeah,
Do you remember what we paid her last time?
I didn't have anything. I wasn't involved in that part. So I don't know what it was. But I guess Sherry Dalton probably would have that too, right?
Yeah, I know I was involved in
Okay.
in coordinating that, but I don't remember what the amount was. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be in any of the old emails, Maria? I could maybe look at the old HRC emails.
Yes.
Probably is in old minutes. Because we
Yeah,
had to
either of
approve it.
which.
Yeah, so if it last spring's minutes. And Benny, I believe you were taking the minutes last spring, before that time, before I took over. So you probably have it in maybe the March or April minutes from last spring.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just looking at some stuff.
Yeah, me
See if I
too.
can find it. Mm. Well. Okay. I am sure I'll be able to find this information. I just can't put my finger on it right now.
I actually found it scrawled in my notes, so it's unofficial. But, and I definitely would encourage you to find the email that confirms this, but I have 250 for the ceremony, which included a singer and a speaker from the Juneteenth Association.
So we didn't have a speaker. Tori and I read, and I think we had the singer and a poet. Is that what you mean by the same? I mean, it's the same, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, 250 is what it says in the meeting minutes.
That would be 1/4 of our total allotted budget of $1,000.
Yeah, okay, but we already have, we also have the revolving account, right?
Mhm.
I guess maybe, does it make sense for us to talk about the budget stuff first before we start? Because we're going to continue to. Well, maybe
Sure.
not for other stuff, but at least for this, we're going to have to make a money decision. So.
Well, I can tell you what has been reported to me. For one thing, they will not give me budget reports that have the level of detail that allows us to look back in our monthly budget reports and determine what we spent money on. It just has the amounts. So, for instance, like they paid Veronica Robles out of our regular account, and we ended up 240, how much was it short? $278 over budget. She said she can make an adjustment and she'll take it out of the revolving account instead. So in the future, what I'm going to propose so we can keep a better handle on this, and this way we'll have records, is if you're going to put in a receipt to get reimbursed, if you can also send it to whoever the treasurer it is, whether it's me or another person, we can have a running record at least of what we spend on different events. We can keep just basic records because right now we're guessing. We don't know how much we spend. And it's, you can, at the revolving account, you can accept donations, you can pay invoices. So you can specify that. The deposits don't go into, see, she gives me all these different numbers, can go into that account as well. So you were asking about where our sign money went, and it went into the revolving account. Okay. So any money we receive goes into the revolving account, doesn't go into our budgetary account, which means that there's no offset on that $1,000. So we have to be careful to request that funds are used from the revolving account so that we don't, again, and they don't have to make an adjustment, wipe out our budgeted account. I don't know if there's any possibility that we might receive more money in a year to come because we're doing so much more than we used to do. Is that a possibility? I know that town meeting is coming up and I don't know if budgets are totally locked in or if we have any, if there's any possibility of getting $500 more, let's say, just because we do so much more. Do you have any sense of that from talking to town council or
They've definitely been approving the budgets, and our budget falls under, I can't remember which town department it is. I think it's town council maybe. Or something. It's like a subset on one of the town department budgets.
Well, we have a counselor here. Maybe perhaps
Oh, yeah.
you can advise us on this.
Yeah, we're gonna approve the budget at our May town meeting, but what my understanding is that you know, don't let the budget ever stop you from doing the programming you want to do. And I think if there is programming and you get worried about money, then that's a conversation that your liaison. So you can go to Anne, you can come to me, and we can go talk to Steve. But he said, like, we will find the money somewhere. And so I think that's, you know, I don't want it to stop us from doing any program we want to do. And as you're doing more and more, I know we've talked about this being like the heaviest time of programming kind of for the year. But, you know, Benny, if there's a way of just coming up with a kind of a proposal. And if it seems like we need more money, you know, we can find the money somewhere, or we can ask for it.
And I feel like if I could keep better records of what was actually costing for all these different events, we'd have a better way to make a case, perhaps, to have our budget increased. You know, because we're doing so many different things, and to have really wonderful celebrations like we did for last year's Juneteenth cost, like I said, it was like 25% of the budget, and that's one day event, one evening event. And we have 6-8 different things that go on over the course of the year.
Yeah, I will definitely say that the amount that we have expanded and the extent to which we would love to commit to paying artists and contributors, especially people who are coming to us from like marginalized communities. $1,000 budget does not go very far.
Yeah.
Like we got an independent donation in order to fund the Hispanic Heritage Month event. We would not have been able to have that event. The Pride concert is not being paid out of our budget. It's paid by a grant. Like I would say that the budget definitely is a like restrictive factor in being able to do what we would love to do. But so I'm assuming, Maureen, that whatever part of the budget that our line item is in has already been approved by FinCom and the town council. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've basically approved the entire budget, so it'll go to town meeting.
Mhm.
But I think there's ways for us to kind of think about other places to get funding, right? Is some of the partnerships that you've talked about. You know, I'm looking at Steve and school committee and like thinking about like how can we, because I agree. I think there is the expectation now of when you have when you're asking artists and for their time, that we should compensate it. So let's, you know, I'm happy to work with you on this. Maybe we kind of come up with like a sample budget just to kind of go and talk to the town administrator and just kind of say like, you know, going forward, this like, is there ways to kind of get extra funding so we don't have to restrict what we want to do? But the message to me, I feel like 2 years ago when we did get the $1,000, because you weren't getting anything before that, was, you know, just come to me when there's kind of programming and like, we'll try to figure it out. So I think there's opportunities. We just need to, you know, I think we just have to think a little bit in advance, but I think having that calendar that I know Sherry and Jen had been working on of like, you know, hey, for Asian American Month, we'd love to have a speaker. For Pride Month, we'd like to, you know, just kind of map out and put kind of like almost a fake budget. I think we can kind of go from there and kind of say like, well, if these are the events we're planning to do, this is what we think we need. And not being, you know, not being pie in the sky, but kind of being realistic about based on the past, what we think we'll need for the future.
And that includes things like active bystander training, which comes at a cost. And even if we share it with another group, it's still a cost center. So I can start putting something together, you know, but like I said, I'm going to have to sit down with, I think, Sherry Dalton, because I don't have any specifics of any of the receipts. And I've been told that that's not how the budget reports are ever prepared. You know, we will never see that. But like I said, in the case of like the Hispanic Heritage, we could have said this one should come out of our revolving account because the money went into the revolving account to pay for Victoria, yeah, and
Veronica.
Veronica. Okay, too many V's. And but do you agree that that we should also do our own housekeeping, where just make sure that whoever your treasurer is also gets a copy of the expenses? Someone on your, and each committee should keep just a list of all the expenses so that we can keep track of them.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to have a centralized, like one person who's keeping some kind of spreadsheet and whatever, and that can then be passed along from one treasurer to the next, so that each year you can look back easily and see like, okay, we spent $300 on Pride, or we spent, $100 on whatever.
I just have a question, like, I don't understand. So if, I know there's 2 accounts, but why would it matter if it goes to one or the other, if we have access to both? Or it's just that if we go over in one, we can't transfer to the other, or I don't know.
Well, what happened is she has to make an end of the year adjustment because by town bylaws, we're not allowed to end the year in a deficit. No
Okay,
account can be in deficit at the end of the year.
okay.
So she's going to have to make an adjustment. She said she'd do that for us. But in the future, we can avoid that kind of situation, especially when we know that we've gotten a special donation
Mhm.
that goes into the revolving account, and then we can ask for something to be paid out of the revolving account.
Okay.
When it's something, a large expenditure like that one, and that was the largest that we've ever spent, $1,000, as far as I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I know.
But they will not set up separate accounts for separate purchases and have, the financial reports, you've seen them, I send them to you, are so vague.
Yeah, yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that you see the number 1,000, you wouldn't even know that was the regular budget rather than the revolving account.
Okay, I see.
Okay, but she's going to make that adjustment. And she said, she even said, when you make a deposit, a copy should go to the treasurer's office and the accounting office. Now, the treasurer's office, I don't know if she meant our treasurer. I assume she meant our treasurer. So if we have a deposit, money's deposited, and I didn't keep records either when I deposited money last year at times. Not that I deposited that much, but when I did. But I think, like I said, it would be a good practice as we're maturing as a group and evolving, to get better control over our finances. And then, like I said, in the future, we might be able to build the case so we don't have to go hat in hand if we really need money, because we'll have that money already budgeted for the kinds of good programs that we put on.
So Sherry, you might have already said this when you first started talking about it, but can you tell us how much is left in the revolving account?
That's on those reports that we had. I have to go in there right now to tell you. It's what it was in the reports that I gave you. Okay, Gmail. Oops. Okay, as of meeting packet. Come on, open. Why isn't this giving me all the meeting packet stuff? Here we go. So as of the end of last month, there is, well, they're going to take $278 out of it, but this is very confusing. I can't even tell if we have. It looks like we probably have, no, it gave me total expense, total revenues, total expenses. It looks like we have about $400 left in the revolving account, but it's really hard to determine that by looking at this document.
Well, so the one I'm looking at says available budget 1,455. What's that?
Okay, I am looking at miscellaneous revenue wise. It was a large total. No, again, I'm not even sure which one I'm looking at. One that's 4,800. From the looks of this, the math doesn't make any sense. It says revenues was $1,642 and expenses was $1,269, which to me is a $400 difference. That's it. $400 left. But let's look at the other financial report. No, it's obvious that, see, I have the ones for the end of the month of March. Our revolving account doesn't look like it has more than a few $100s left in it.
Can I just ask a question? It looks like, I don't even know if it's a question.
And then
But
this,
when-
then on the available budget, it says 1,455,85.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be we have $1,400 in there.
Yeah, that's what I was asking about.
Yeah, but look down below, it says total revenue, total expenses. And that doesn't equal $1,455.
If you take 2,725 and you subtract 1,269, it equals 1,455.85.
Okay, then we have
That's how this-
1,450. Okay, Eileen, that was you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're obviously better at math than I am. So, okay, then we have $1,400. If that is correct. We have $1,400. And remember, they're going to take 278 out of that to cover our deficit.
Okay, so we have
$1,400.
a little bit less than $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That is the key information. Okay, so with that information in mind, we just agreed to spend $100 on Pride swag. And we were just talking about potentially $250 for Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
So this is helpful to have the numbers available to us, like what as
Right.
we're making these decisions.
And again, subtract $278 from that remaining money in the revolving account.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I just said. So we'll have a little bit less than $1,200. Okay. So with those numbers available to us now, let's go back to talking about this Juneteenth question. If we want to budget money to have the North Shore Juneteenth Association provide us with a poet or a singer or whatever, and kind of do the rest of the ceremony as well. You know, last year they brought the junior ROTC out, they raised the flag, they did the whole shebang. Any thoughts or discussion about that?
I would love to do that again. I think it's a great use of funds.
Okay.
Any concerns or anything else that we should be considering? Yeah, Stephen, go ahead.
I'll ask her.
Oh, you're muted, Stephen.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, Nicole.
Of course I am. I think the Black Student Union is planning a Juneteenth picnic, and I wasn't sure if anyone wanted to sort of reach out and collab in any way on anything like that.
So they did it last year, and I was there. I came and a few other community people were there. But yes, definitely. It wasn't on Juneteenth. It might have been like a few days before or after. I can't remember last year, but anyway, it was very nice how they did it.
I thought I had heard, Nicole, that they were sort of opening it up, to the community, not just like so I wasn't sure if they wanted any help in sort of cross promoting that at all, or.
Yeah, they put it out on, last year they put it out, I can't remember how they put it out, but there were a few other community members that came out, like
Yeah.
I remember Susie, I never can say her last name, V.
There.
Yeah, there. She came with her family. And maybe two or three other families. Somebody was walking the lake and came over and hung out with us for a while. So yeah, I will I can send thank you, Steve. Thank you for reminding me. I'll follow up with them.
Does anybody know if we remember that Pina had given a grant for, or a donation of some kind for the HRC and the Black Student Union to like collaborate on something? Do we use that for MLK Day?
We didn't, because the Black Student Union paid the performer, and because we weren't in person, I don't even think they really had to pay anything. So no, we haven't used it yet.
So that's a thing that we could like bring up as like those could be funds that are available to the BSU for their Juneteenth picnic, or if they want to collaborate with us on that picnic or something.
Yeah, I'll send them a note, Flavia, or their vice and president.
Wouldn't one of those be a family member of yours?
They would, but I was trying not to do that. Yes, so I could call her in here, but I won't do that to her today.
Yeah, because I think that could be great. I would love to support them with that picnic, like defray the costs for the picnic. And if they want to collaborate with us in any way on that, I think it could be a great thing. I don't know what that would look like, but that's up to them. Yeah, Elizabeth.
Question though, you may not know the answer to this, Nicole, since it's a student group. Do you know if their picnic is a caucus space, or do they open up the space more widely? I just want us to support them if they are using it as a caucus space.
They had it at the lake, and they used it as more like a potluck. Is that what you're? Is that what you mean, or no? Okay, sorry.
If they're asking for it to be Black caucus space and for it to only be Black folks.
No, they're not.
Okay.
No.
If they were, I wanted us to like be able to support them in that, because that can be a hard thing to ask for as a kid sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's open to the community. No.
That's actually why I brought it up. Is the only reason I know about it is because it was presented sort of during the school committee, during the youth groups like minutes. They're like, hey, Black Student Union is doing this for Juneteenth, and they would love some community outreach, and if people want to come join. And I was like, that sounds great.
Cool.
But
did they give you a date, Stephen, or did they say?
They didn't. But of course, me in my head, I'm like, oh, Juneteenth, that's like 3 years from now, and it's going to be tomorrow, and I know, but.
Let's see, shall we make a formal proposal to pay that $250 to the North Shore Juneteenth Association?
So moved.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay, so then paying $250 to the North Shore Juneteenth Association for the Wakefield Juneteenth flag raising ceremony. What say you, Sherry?
Yes.
Daniela?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. So great. Okay, let me put it on my list. I will reach out to, do you want, Nicole, do you want me to reach out to Nicole? Or do you want, what?
I can. I'm gonna see her Saturday. We have an event, and I can message her. But so we're saying 6 p.m. right on the 15th.
Yeah,
That's
if that
good.
works for them.
Yeah.
And she had emailed me, I can circle back with her. I mean, we actually don't have an answer yet, but she had also emailed me what the location, she was asking the location, and I was like, great question. There's like something up in the air about which flagpole. I'll get back to you. So I still don't have an answer. If she's asking, we're still working on it. Hopefully on the 25th is the next town council meeting where we're going to talk again about the flag policy. So I haven't forgotten about her. I'm just going to get back to her once we have an answer. Anything else about Juneteenth? Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole, for doing that, being involved with them and doing some of that legwork. I'm excited. Yana, I know that Lindsay isn't here. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you and Lindsay have been brewing over there?
Yeah, sure. So, Lindsay and I have met around twice now, and we've been working on our objective is to have the HRC to trying to find ways to increase public knowledge of mental health issues and awareness of resources and supports. So since we don't have an Instagram and that touch base on a lot of that reaches out to a lot of the youth, we were thinking of collaborating with the youth council's Instagram, and they're open to it, which is great. And I've been to the communication outreach subcommittee meeting, which is where we talked about the next steps. I'm gonna meet with Madeline, who controls the Instagram, and we talked about some things that we could post, like graphic images. We could post videos of us talking about stuff, and we also talked about I think Lindsay found an account that supports and increase awareness of mental health. So we might do third party content maybe. We're not really sure exactly what we'll post yet, but we're definitely moving along with the process. And the youth council said we might be able to put the HRC logo at the end of all the posts, just to show that we're collaborating and this is inspired by the HRC and all that, and I don't know, connecting the two. So yeah, that's what we have so far, I believe, but I'm looking over my notes, and yeah, looks like that's what we have so far. I'm planning on meeting with Lindsay again after this and continuing this, but if anyone has any thoughts or questions.
Yeah, Nicole, go ahead.
So someone approached me a few weeks ago, asking if, and I forgot to pass it along. I forgot if we could do something in remembrance of those we lost during COVID, because family members it's still within the mental health and what we're going through, and not acknowledging the loss and pain. And I thought that would be something you guys may want, you and Lindsay may want to take on. They thought it would be better for us to do it, but because the other group, anyway, they just thought it might be something that we should take on. So I don't know what the group thinks about that, but
yeah, I feel that definitely meets where I feel this definitely fits in with this, and I definitely will bring that up. I think that's a great idea. Be great to let everyone know. And since it is the HRC, it's both. So I think it would work out.
Yeah, Sherry, go ahead.
I don't remember the date. It might be tomorrow, but the town is doing, and I sent an email to all of you,
Yeah.
an outreach session on mental health. And I know Lindsay got very excited, but she can't go. And I don't know if Yana, you all going, or anyone else is going to be able to go to that. But the town is, through the public health department is going to be doing an evening outreach. I wish I can get into that email now and give you specifics again. So things are happening, in Wakefield. It's not being ignored.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good, I would have to check the date and time and all that and see if I can make it, but hopefully I can. But yeah, there's a lot of things in the town that is spreading knowledge of mental health. And I feel like just taking that extra step and like promoting it to the youth, which is Instagram is like, I feel like is the main way. And I feel like so they can find these events, find these, and also like feel connected and not so alone is exactly what Lindsay and I are trying to do here. There's also, I met when I was meeting with the communication outreach subcommittee with the youth council, Catherine Dinglet also mentioned the NAN project, which is basically they're doing the same thing as we are. So she's going to try and connect me with them and see what we can do and see if we can like all work together, or just like if they can give me some advice of how to approach this type of topics and all that. But like you said, there's so many supports there. It's just getting the knowledge to everyone that there is.
That event is April 27th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, from 6:30 to
Okay.
7:30 at the library.
Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
I'll check my calendar after this.
A week from tomorrow, Wednesday evening.
Which is really the really great thing about that. Like, I'm really glad that they're doing it, and I think we should promote it. Like the town is promoting it, but it's, but all the social services. But what's really great is that they're going to do give out Narcan and do training about it. So I actually think, yeah, like I think for people who, if you've ever worked with that population, or I look at Benny and look at Elizabeth, I'm sure like I've been
Or family members or yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty cool thing that they're doing. So 6:30 to 7:30 next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday at the library.
That's great. I didn't know they were including Narcan. That's so great. Fantastic.
I receive emails from the town because I'm on their whole alert system, so I get all of this kind of messaging. But obviously, it's not getting through to a lot of people because they don't even realize. I like my neighbors; they don't even know when garbage is not being picked up because it's a holiday, because they don't get anything. They don't sign up. How do we encourage people to use it? Because it's push marketing. I mean, once you're signed up, they just send you the information. Like, I know that there's going to be water main work coming up. It's going to be very disruptive, for 16 hours coming up right away. And, probably no one else knows this because they don't get the messaging. How do we get people to utilize that? Because it's very important stuff. I mean, this is an amazing gathering they're going to do next Wednesday night. And they're not reaching the amount of people they could be reaching because people aren't linked in.
I don't know that we can change people's habits, but what we could do is post it on our Facebook, like cross promote the event next Wednesday to our Facebook, and make a post about I don't know, Yana, you said that you don't have anything prepared, you don't have your posts prepared, but I'm wondering if there's some language that you, or either language or graphics that you or Lindsay could send to me. I could post something on our Facebook page leading up to Wednesday to promote that event, and then also maybe put out our something from the HRC about why this is important as a human rights issue.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, but if you'd be able to help me out with the language or whatever to include in the post, I would be happy to do that.
Okay, yeah, this is good. I'll keep in touch with you then.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Terry, I would just say to your question about how to help people be informed. I just more or less, for lack of a better term, I preach that Get Town news link to everybody whenever they ask a question. Like if I see it just in my walking around town or on social media, if someone asks a question that I know that would answer, like there's no transparency in this, or I don't know how anyone knows this, or you just go, there's a place you can go. You can find a sea of check boxes. And if any of those interest you, you just check that box and you will get all of the information about that stuff. Then don't get elected to a board because you will get 2 emails for every one you would want to get. And then, or even appointed, or so I get lots of HRC stuff. I get lots of school stuff and other stuff, but I tell everybody about that because so few people know that it exists. And so, yeah, that's all I would say. Just as a person, I would just continue to tell everybody.
And, the town should be promoting it more aggressively too.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to sort of, when is the right level of sort of outreach, and when is it just like some people got to do a little bit of the effort and come and meet you a little bit of where you are. So it's a hard dance, sometimes it's a push, some days it's a pull.
We all get utility bills. I mean, even if it just a slip sheet was in our utility bills.
I
telling
pay mine
people-
online.
Yeah, me too.
My bill goes in the recycle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Paperless.
this is one of the things that feels to me like we are the town and we share information with each other. And so continuing to talk about it, Stephen's, again, for lack of better word, town news evangelism is a great way to share things, right? That's and we talk to our neighbors and our friends much more than we talk to people about official town business. So I think that's, yeah, smart.
Can I just go back to the mental health piece that we started to talk about? Yana, and you probably already know this, and so that's why you're sort of thinking about it, but May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so if there are things that we could be posting on our Facebook to share resources from the town over the month of May, I don't know if you and Lindsay are thinking about that, or even if it's not necessarily on Instagram, it's through our Facebook followers. I think that would be great.
Yeah, we definitely have thought about that. It's coming very soon. So we're hoping after this meeting we can really get things started. I'm hoping to meet with Madeline to get some graphics going and seeing and all that. So now a lot should be rolling in, but yeah, we definitely thought about posting a lot in May since it is Mental Health Month, which would be good.
And you may not have to invent it. You might be able to just pick up material on April 27th at the library that you can use.
Very true. Yeah, exactly.
Daniela, I see your hand.
So I'm on a panel at my company for Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's about breaking the stigma of mental health and living with it, and also being a professional with it. I live with PTSD and major depression, and I don't mind talking about it, sharing my story and how my journey of healing and relearning has become. So Yana, if you're looking to have people who are wanting to help break that stigma, to it shouldn't be scary to talk about, I'm happy to do it. I'm already pretty public in my 58,000 employee company. They'll all figure it out. So I don't have anything to hide. And I do think that having people share their experiences, there is a benefit. There's relatable things, and people may not go. They may not want to go seek help, and it also could allow people who hear these stories and these experiences to say, you know what, maybe I'll think about it a little bit more, or I'm less afraid to do it now, or it's less intimidating.
That is great to hear. We have been talking about doing that, is getting some members that feel comfortable, maybe making a video and all that, but it's hard because it's not a delicate topic and everyone has their own stories to tell and all that. And also, I don't know about parental control and all that. Or I don't know, it has, we would have to figure out a lot, but having you as an example, that would be amazing. I'll let Lindsay know, but I think that's great because I feel like when you see people in your town or just like that, like you're not alone, and also like not, it's like it's different when someone's talking and you see a video than instead of like a image. It's like not hiding behind a screen. I feel like it feels more real and like almost like a friend and all that, and it'll reach more people. So that would be great. I'll let Lindsay know, and thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'll share the questions that the panel is going to be using, because that's already been vetted by our legals department and cross-checked with all the regulations about HIPAA, which, we're not disclosing crazy identifiable information. So you should be okay there, but I can share at least those questions so that way it can get you started, or, if you want to do a piece with me, then it'll help our conversation at least.
That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Thank you. And also like we'll help include the HRC more into this project too, which would be great. Thank you.
So cool. Loving it. Thank you, Yana, for your work on that. And thank you, Lindsay in absentia, for her work on that. Any other thoughts on the mental health awareness stuff? Cool. Okay, cool. Let's see. Flag policy is next on this list. Flag policy. So you know that I went to the town council last month to ask for an amendment to the flag policy. Town council is, like, in principle, supportive of flying the pride flag and the Juneteenth flag. They seem supportive of doing something to make that more visible, which, like, what I had asked for was to be able to fly the flag at town hall and possibly at Veterans Field, over like where the farmers market happens. Tom Mullen took it over to like actually draft the language for what the new policy would be, and there's been like various comments being sent to the item and to the town council, some of them pretty hateful, some of them very supportive. It's a mixed bag. Some of it does not really have anything to do with flags. Some of it is very specifically like very focused feedback having to do with like the American flag and flag flying etiquette and stuff like that. So there's like a whole range of feedback and opinions being expressed. One thing that I didn't realize when I brought this proposal to the town council is that the POW MIA flag flies at town hall, which I like somehow had not realized that. I know that it flies like right across from town hall. There's the veteran memorial and it flies there certainly. But so flying any flag at town hall would require taking down the POW MIA flag, which wasn't really like part of our intention. So I reached out to the Veterans Advisory Board, which is where I was right before this meeting started, to get their like feedback, input, ideas, reactions. That meeting was good. The takeaway message was that I don't know that they have formulated a like coherent stance that the board has, but all the individuals who shared their feedback with me was that that there appear to be some laws in place perhaps that prohibit flying other flags under the American flag besides the POW MIA flag. I don't know, don't ask me. They like quoted lots of laws. Whatever the case may be, there's a lot of feelings about that topic. And so their recommendation was to find other ways to, they were like, we want to see the pride flag, we want to see the Juneteenth flag, we want to see it in some other way that doesn't involve flying it along with the American flag. For example, installing a new flagpole. And they said actually that there's some fund in the town that they have access to that it sounds like they were willing to like collaborate with us in proposing to the town that they install a new flagpole. So like I was looking, now I look at flagpoles. Eileen, you said this the other day and I have found it to be true of myself, where I like I was taking the bus home today and it goes through the middle of Melrose. And I was like, what flagpoles does Melrose have? And Melrose Town Hall has 2 flagpoles. One has the US flag and the POW MIA flag, and the other one is probably available for all kinds of things. Right now it has a Ukraine flag on it. So that was their advice, was either ask the town to install a new flagpole that could be used for whatever flags anybody wants. Or they had a couple other ideas. They were like, there's actually a little flagpole on top of the gazebo. They were like, you could fly it there. What is this about, Elizabeth?
I'm just saying no, because it's too small.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's very central. That's what I like about it. I mean, how tall the flagpole is like the flag we have is the flag we have. Which flagpole it's flown on isn't going to make it any bigger or any smaller. But so that was one idea. Then there's also, wait, I wrote it down. They had a couple of suggestions. These other ones don't have to do with flags. They were like, you could also fly banners, like the ones that are on the lampposts, you know, they were like, you could do all the lampposts. That I think would cost a fair amount of money. We'd have to have all of those made by a sign company, but I think it would be totally cool. Eileen also pointed out to us in the Pride subcommittee meeting the other day that the BB library has 2 flagpoles, one with the US flag and one that is empty. So we could ask the library, and I asked the town, I was like, this is public land, it's a public building, but like who has jurisdiction over this flagpole? And the DPW told me that it's the library's decision what goes on that flagpole. So we could just ask them directly. So I believe there are options available for a centrally located and visible flagpole where we can fly the Juneteenth and Pride flags. That would not require taking down the POW MIA flag. And that would be my hope in order to, so everybody wins, you know, but I'm interested in y'all's thoughts about that.
You already reached out to the library to see, because if they say yes, then I think that's a quick win. And I didn't even realize the gazebo had a flagpole, but those are 2 pretty central locations. And I think that in the interest of time, because I don't think we're going to get a new flagpole installed before June, that's like a great way. I would just also want to make sure that that flagpole above the gazebo is considered in the policy, because it doesn't strike me as a pole. It's more of like an addition to a public structure, and they want to be careful, and I understand that they want to be careful about like who would fly a flag, because they'd have to, I mean, also we want to reiterate that they have to approve of it, and also the town council has to state where it goes, so just making sure that it's in writing, I think that would be a good thing. But yeah, just in the interest of time, I feel like those 2. And I also like the idea of the banners on the light posts downtown. I just don't think that's feasible for this year, but perhaps going forward, if we have leftover budget at some point in time before the year is out and we want to spend that money before it's gone, maybe we can make those types of decisions then to just know, like, and yeah. And there's other flags that we could fly, other banners that we could do different months.
So I'm seeing many hands. I saw Eileen, Nicole, Elizabeth. I just glanced up though, so I don't know if that's the order that you put your hands on. Okay.
Last year we talked about the flag, the lampposts, and we were worried that we would sort of be competing with the seniors graduating. And so we decided not to go about it. So there was that. The other thing is, I really want to give my wife credit for noticing the library, because she was the one that was like, why don't you just use the library? And I was like, I don't know, that's a great question. Way smarter than I am. it would be great to just be able to use the library and we can put both flags up and leave them for the whole month, right? Like, wouldn't that be great if we could do that? And then the idea of us trying to get another flagpole in town, I think, Danielle, was it you that just said it's for the sake of time? I think it'll take way too long, and the BB's been so wonderful to work with. I think hopefully they would happily say, yeah, go ahead. I don't know why there isn't a flag hanging there now. And now, to your point, Benny, every time I drive by, I'm like, is the flagpole broken? Is there something wrong with the rope? Like, I'm like inspecting the flagpole for goofy reasons, or important reasons. But yeah, so for the lampposts, that's why we decided not to do it.
Nicole.
I was just gonna say what Eileen said, that the seniors have that lamppost in June.
Elizabeth?
It sounds like it's moot point, but since it came up, I just wanted to name that one of the things that you know when you've been a professional Girl Scout for many years is that that information that somebody cited as against US flag code to fly other flags underneath the US flag is incorrect. It is not against US flag code to fly any flag underneath the US flag. The only information about flying other flags names that the US flag is to be flown above state or other general flags, and if it is flown with other country flags, that they are flown at the same level. So that information that does keep floating around, I've seen it. I mean, you mentioned that you heard it at the Veterans Advisory Board, but I've also seen it in multiple other places in the discussion of this flag policy. Is not correct. It is not against flag code to fly flags under the US flag.
I would also like to share this picture of the bandstand, which I think looks like a bomb place for a flag to be, because this is the like Wakefield logo. Like, this is Wakefield, is that thing. How bomb would that be if the pride flag was on that thing? Anyway, that's my thought about that.
Is it a lightning rod or is it a flagpole?
I don't know. I think it's a flagpole.
It's a flagpole.
So I think we have some options. But thank you, Daniela, because that's a great point, because I would not have remembered to ask them to include that in the policy so that that is an option for us to request. So my next steps going forward include reaching out to town council to like ask that this flag will be included in the policy, and also just generally to touch base about like all these ideas and options, so that when we come to our meeting on the 25th, the town council meeting on the 25th, that we can move forward with some like kind of finished product plan. My plan right now, I don't know, you guys tell me what you think. After meeting with the Veterans Advisory Board, I don't feel okay moving forward with asking for the town hall flagpole, because it would require taking down the POW MIA flag. And since we have some other options available, my hope is to pursue these other options. So I'm gonna contact the BB, see about that flagpole, kind of close some loops with the town council about amending the flag policy. Yeah, that's where things stand. What else? Other thoughts on that stuff?
I was just going to say, to follow up from Elizabeth's comment, the VA has a guide, a PDF guide on their website about proper display of the US flag that includes when it's on a pole with another flag. So if that information is helpful to you, I can send you a link afterwards.
Yeah, you know, I feel wary. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being like conflict avoidant. It's like, I don't really want to get in a tit for tat about like, what is the flag policy? What is not the flag? I'm like, but I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I
I
also-
totally know, and it not intended as a retort of, well, I know, I know the law better than you. No, like absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But if a question were to come up about what is the proper way to display a flag or anything like that, you could. It was a guide that that I came across. So if it's helpful, not in furtherance of a conflict.
Yeah, for sure. Send it along. That might be good.
Okay.
Let's see. Any other thoughts?
I'm looking at an image, and I don't want to get into like the policy of it, but I'm just Google streeting like Wakefield Street, just to see where flagpoles are and visibility. I like the idea of the bandstand, but then I come across this Google Street image of Town Hall, where there's the American flag, and then there's a flag that says like 100 years underneath it, in place of where is currently the POW flag. It's interesting. That's all. Observation. I was wondering, and I didn't think Wakefield, has it been 100-year anniversary recently? I'm wondering where that flag came from.
I mean, it must be old. Our 100-year anniversary would have been in like the 60s or something.
Yeah, so not in Google Street View era.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, and I mean, we've been flying the Pride flag and the Juneteenth flag below the US flag for the past 3 years. Like, whatever. So I'm in support of finding a flagpole option that avoids that. So, I mean, my highest priority is respecting the POW MIA flag. But it seems like a lot of people's feedback was actually not about that specifically. It was about not wanting us to fly it under the flag. So, okay. Anything else? Other stuff about the flag policy? Cool. The next thing on the agenda is about the thank you notes, but as far as I am aware, Jeremy hasn't had a chance to work on that. Oh, Elizabeth?
I have to leave, sorry.
Oh, bye.
Take care. Bye.
Jeremy's out of town for school break week, and I don't think has written up the thank you thing. So I don't think there's any update on that. So the next one after that is the Language of Diversity campaign. I don't know where we should start with this. Daniela or Sherry, do you want to start us off?
Yeah.
This has become a real hot button. Daniela, go ahead.
Yeah, so what we've learned is that, so the language of diversity, just to sort of recall what the purpose is, it's to, it's an educational initiative to cover different either terminology or terms that people would use to describe themselves or others. And it is, we're all sort of sometimes, oh, is this right to say? Is this not right to say? What is right? And the times are constantly changing. So we were just trying to hope to sort of freeze time in a moment in an infographic and say, at this point in time, this is what people prefer. However, what we've learned is that's not really an infographic. It's something that is better to be discussed. There are infographics out there, like the one that I had shared initially, which inspired the initiative, but it was very specific and it was for the community. It's not something that is constantly up for debate. It was just kind of pretty set in stone and has been for several years. So, we took a pause because when we learned of this, it was for the month of February, which we were doing a theme of Black History Month, and everyone that we spoke with was like, okay, this is going to be better in a discussion, or they were wary about the terms that we had come up with. And so while the intention was there, to be good. It just was like, yeah, this isn't going to be right. And unfortunately, before anything could have really happened, the infographic that was up for review to sort of get feedback went to the students, and the students found it really offensive. So I think our next step is to write a letter of acknowledging our mistakes, our mishaps, and just sort of put things right. You know, the graphic should have never gone to them. It was unfortunate that it did, and we are learning from it. I think just to make sure that the relationship is still good, that everyone there is okay, if we can help with anything. You know, I just feel bad that we were the cause of discomfort and upsetting people, and also probably some interesting conversations that they had to go home and have with their parents. But going forward, this language diversity, I'm sort of trying to turn it into adding on to what we're already doing with our events and having panels. So that's something that inspired the Pride event panel. That's why I spoke up for Mental Health Awareness Month. Like, I feel like there are things that we can definitely speak to, but it's not infographic. There's more to it than that. I can't say that I am the one who came up with the panel idea. It was actually Nicole from the North Shore Juneteenth Association. And I fell in love with it because you're including community members. You're literally amplifying the voices of the people by having them actually speak. And what better way to do that when you increase the participation and the engagement from the community, their network, their communities, and then it's more personable. You really get to understand people. And if these panels are live, there's a Q&A portion, which people can then really engage even further. Not to say that everything has to be public, but so I think that is a full summary. And I know I just threw a lot at you, but I think one thing to really note is to make sure that if we write this thank you note, can it be from the whole HRC? Just because that's sort of how it was presented, perhaps when the graphic went to them. I don't know if it was, you know, just those of us in the initiative, or if they saw it as just like this came from all of the HRC.
And actually, it was sent asking for their input, not as a done thing that we were presenting. We were asking them for their input. We were asking for their opinion. We were not imposing it on them, because the whole purpose of this program was to raise awareness among people who may not have that awareness of the language. And there was never, you know, we would not have sent it out publicly unless the people who we were discussing or talking about, or who's were being referred to in these infographics, first approved. So we went to a lot of different people and asked. But my concern is that we're going to get the same kind of pushback from all groups. If we have a month that, I know AAPI is coming up and I can't think of language we might use, but if we did one for that, we might get the same reaction. Or Hispanic Heritage, we might get the same reaction. And basically we were, like I said, doing something we thought was just increasing awareness and trying to promote understanding.
So my thought about this is, if you send out an infographic to a person who is impacted by that, right? So it's an infographic about language relating to Black people, and you send it to a Black person, and that person says, I have concerns about this, like yellow flags, I don't know about this. And you send it to another person, maybe you get a couple. And if you're getting yellow flags, I feel like the place where the big concern rises for me is we need to take in and believe the input we are getting. Like, how many Black people do you need to hear from saying this is problematic before you're like, I guess it's problematic? You know, like, why continue to send it out and continue to make people uncomfortable and continue to hurt people? So that's, I think, the concern that I have about how this went is if we start to get those like yellow flag reactions or red flag reactions, I think we need to like really take that feedback and stop. And it may be true, Sherry, what you're saying, that if we were to do infographics, which it sounds like we're not doing, but say we're doing the panels, and if we are getting feedback with concerns, then we listen to it, you know, we listen to it and we either alter course or we, whatever, you know. Yeah.
The other thing that, you know, from all of this, it's like, so I am one person and I have an idea about one thing. You ask another person of the same racial background, they have a different idea. It would be the same for the AAPI community. It would be the same for Native Americans. It would be the same for LGBTQIA community. And we cannot, it's almost like it's being put in one box. And like, you know, Daniela was saying, like, there are many things, and I don't think we can, we're trying to say like right here in this time, this is what it is, but it's not necessarily, because still everyone feels so much differently about so many different things. And so, you know, when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, and I'm not thinking about all these other things, but to me, one person only thinking about myself and my upbringing, yeah, maybe it's fine. But for my daughter and my husband, it's completely different. And so it definitely was eye-opening. And I'm, in a way, you know, we should all feel grateful that we saw that, and that it can make us be a little bit more transparent that we don't know everything. And a discussion, like Danielle said, is much more better. It's better because it brings everybody in. We're not trying to convince somebody of something, but we're trying to bring understanding, and having just like, this is what you should do, and telling somebody what they should do, just like the flag policy, and all the people in the community saying, I don't want to do it like that because I don't think this, you know, they feel like they were not part of the conversation, and we only are saying, this is what you should do. That's the way that I read their emails and stuff. And so that's the way that I feel. Yes. And conversation, bringing people in, discussing it, letting people come to the understanding the way that they need to, is better than trying to say, this is what you have to do, for those especially that are resistant in this town.
You know, and we preceded anything we put in there with our intent, which was not to tell people what to do. It was, like you said, just a matter of awareness of
Right,
the
but
way
the
language is
awareness-
used, but people, they took it a particular way. And like we approached, I know Daniela spoke to one friend. I had asked you and the students, and Daniela also talked to Juneteenth. So it's 4 different reactions. But I just think that at this point, we should just completely discontinue this program, because I think that we're going to get similar pushback from all different kinds of groups. They're going to all take offense, perhaps, or discomfort from anything we say, because we're not of their particular group. So I am more than willing to say this program is, in terms of the infographic part of it, is completely discontinued. And it was uncomfortable doing it, putting it together, trying to be as sensitive as possible and watching our language. But I guess there's really no way of doing that in the graphic way. So if we have panels going forward, that's excellent if people are willing to discuss this and answer questions from the audience.
Nicole, were you about to say something a minute ago? Yeah, I agree that a panel, I think, allows for the nuance, right? Exactly what you're describing, Nicole, where have any of you, okay, so one of the like example that stands out to me in terms of this type of thing, and we certainly don't have the skill or the resources that they have, but the what's it called? The NPR Code Switch podcast had an episode about during Hispanic Heritage Month about language. It's like what we're talking about. They were like interviewing different people. It's like, where did the term Hispanic come from? Like, who prefers this term? Where does Latinx come from? Does anybody really use that word? You know, like this whole conversation about like Latine, like all these different options. And it's like a very nuanced episode where it talks about like people who have like totally opposing viewpoints. Like, what does it mean to have a vast international, multi-ethnic, multiracial, like conglomeration of people who all fall under one word? You know what I mean? Like, it's this like nuanced, complicated thing. And so that to me is like a gold standard thing, you know, example of what we're talking about, and why a conversation really can provide more nuance and more depth than an image can. So I appreciate the suggestion that Nicole gave us.
And,
to do it that
you
way.
know, I guess the hope was that it would inspire conversations and civil behavior of people towards other people. But instead, it just created discomfort. So, Daniela, do you agree that we discontinue the graphic side of this?
Yeah, it's better to do it in like a discussion form. And I think more so, I don't want to let this point go, that we need to write a letter to the BSU. And does that come from all of the HRC? And if so, is it possible to type it out and have it be reviewed by all members and like individually send approval to some via email? Or does it have to be taken to the next meeting in our public meeting materials in a voice vote? If it's signed by the Wakefield Human Rights Commission.
I think if we are signing it as a commission, we would want to be able to see it first. And
right, like if you saw, like if everyone was emailed the draft and then there were no edits, if everyone individually, because you can't reply all, if everyone or the majority individually says, I approve of this via email, and perhaps that chain is included in the next month's meeting materials, like, would that be possible? Just because I don't want too much time to go by. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was like March 20 something or 17. It was like mid to late March that it happened. So I'd hate to be like, hey, 2 months later, here's a sorry, but
I feel like the distinction here is that, like, if we're sending a letter to the item or something like that, that's a public statement of our values, of our like a group consensus of an opinion. Where if this is a personal note and not a public statement, I don't know. It's a really good question if like open meeting laws apply. I mean, this isn't a policy. I don't know.
And we received a letter in our packet that was about the flag controversy that I assume has already been sent to somebody.
yeah, it was signed by the Pride Subcommittee. So the Pride Subcommittee read and reviewed and voted on that letter.
Okay, but it didn't come to a total vote.
Yeah, because it's not signed by the HRC as a full body. So whichever body is signing the document, could vote on it.
Well, how about if Daniela, you take a stab at the first draft and I work on it with you. And that way we as representatives, but not the whole WHRC, because it was an initiative that we worked on. We take care of it. And that way it'll get done more quickly.
Yeah, you could sign it as like Daniela
Member-
Novella,
okay, we're members of the
HRC
commission.
commissioner, Sherry Oken, HRC commissioner.
Yep.
Cool.
How's that?
Thank you.
Yeah, that will definitely give you the most like flexibility and like speed.
Right. And since you got more of the direct feedback than I did, I asked that you please write the initial draft and I'll work on it with you after that. Then. Okay, there's a to-do.
Thank you both.
We're sorry this didn't work out. It seemed like a good idea, but it just didn't work out.
Well, technically it did, because what we wanted to do was inspire conversations, and instead of giving an infographic and posting on social media, we're literally having conversations, organized conversations, amplifying the voices that we wanted to amplify in the beginning. So really, it actually developed to be better than what we wanted, I think.
And
And you
actually, the
also-
example that Benny gave about the different terms for Latinx, Latino, Hispanic, I've been reading so much about that lately, and that was one of the things that we would have probably addressed. In fact, I just read an editorial by John McWhorter about how the term even BIPOC is only used by, and he's a Black linguist, is only used by people in the elite. Most people don't know anything about it, and they don't know that.
And
what
see,
that term means.
I don't think that, and I read that too, and see, he's one person.
I know.
And if you ask other people, they do use it. So it's again, like I think as a human rights Christian, we have to get into the idea and continue in the idea that we're not only serving one in the box, we're serving everybody. And there's so many differences of everything, ideas. That's why I said for us to have Marine come or wherever people come to talk about, so we have a understanding. It's not the understanding, it's just a understanding, and we don't know everything. And so someone writing something about something, he thinks that, but not everyone. I don't consider myself an elite African American, and I use the term BIPOC. You go into the city, into Dorchester, at any of their church meeting or something, they may also use the term. So we have to remember that we're not working like this, but we're working like this, and to be open to this and not this.
Well,
Yeah, I think there's like
a year ago, I had to ask for a definition of that because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? There's comfort in knowing the answer, right? Like, I think that we all want to like know what is the right answer. And when we find somebody who's telling us this is the right answer, you're like, ooh, I found it. Everybody, this person told me what the right answer is. But especially for those of us who are white, or whatever the topic is we're talking about, like for those of us who are cisgender, or for those of us who are, whatever, in the dominant group, to like take a breath and push back against that instinct, right? To be like, I know what the right answer is. I Googled it or whatever. Yeah. It's hard when there's a lot of gray, when there is no answer. It can be hard to like.
And I think it's tough, as Nicole was saying, is you're learning like Latinx is something that I wasn't really familiar with, that I've been hearing. It almost, when I was growing up, it became like a young term. It was like a cool thing people use. And then recently I asked at work, because I'm part of this Latino group, and I said, why we use Latinx? And then they said, oh, it's to be more inclusive, for people that identify as Latino or Latina, because in Spanish, we, it's either male or female, but then what about people that I don't identify as either one? So then and now that's the definition they gave me. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not expert. I'm not saying that, but I'm like, oh, I never even thought about it in that way. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, so I think that is obviously in a conversation. We're learning all these terms. The same thing with Latino, Hispanic. Some people don't like to be called Latina. Some people don't like to be called Hispanic. So it's like, I mean, it's a learning curve. I mean, I'm definitely learning stuff, like all different stuff at work in this new group, but it's interesting, all these terms that I never knew existed until I came to the US, and then all of a sudden there's so many terms for so many different things. It's just like, but because before you're just from your country, right? So you're from Chile, you're from here, you're from there. But then when you're here, even though you were born here, you're still not here. You know what I mean? Like you're from somewhere, like and I don't know. I mean, I think I have an idea why that happens, but I don't know why that happens, but you're still attached to your Latino, Latina. So it's interesting, but that's from another day. But.
It is very weird because I am so many generations removed from my ancestry, and people still ask me what my ancestry is.
Right.
And it has had almost no play in my life whatsoever because my family was here for such a long time, but people still ask.
Right.
I guess I look ethnic and they ask.
Well, yeah, and I mean, imagine, Sherry, the extent to which that would be true if somebody didn't look white, like you look white. So if somebody is visibly other, and then there's this question of like, what are you? Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent.
And it's getting late.
Yes, thank you for navigating the uncertain waters of the Language of Diversity campaign. And let us know if you need support or anything around that. Okay, just a couple more updates if anybody has any. Yana, are there other youth council updates that you want to share?
No, not really. Just what I discussed before. I'll be in touch with you and Lindsay about the meet and greet on what to post about that and other things that we'll make for May for Mental Health Month.
Does the youth council, are they on break over the summer? Like, do the meetings get suspended?
Well, no, not necessarily on break, but we do they seniors stop in June, and then they we're in the process of making what's it called? We have to create interviews and all that and meet people that want to join the youth council for the following year, and then they join when we leave and all that. So, and then we have a little last year we had a little gathering just to say goodbye and all that. So sweet. But yeah, we just continue throughout the year.
So does that mean that this is your last meeting with us?
No, I don't think so. I think we have we have one in May, right?
Okay.
And then I might be there for the June one. Yeah. So
I was starting to
not the next week, but yeah. I know. I'm gonna be very sad when that is.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I'm also it's getting late, so I have to log off because my family's sleeping. But
1 second, we have to say congratulations on your acceptance to college, and we're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
I know where you're going. I don't know if you want to tell everybody else, but I know. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Have a good night.
Congratulations, Yana.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Okay. Stephen, do you want to give us any updates on what's happening on the school committee?
Sure. I know I wanted to, I already mentioned the thing about Black Student Union and Juneteenth, but also I found out not so much what school committees doing, what the schools are doing. I found out that I think partnership of Black Student Union and I'm trying to think of what the what I would have called the Gay Straight Alliance, what that's called in the high school, but I think they're doing a collaboration and they're doing a unity festival. I'm not sure if that's specifically just in school, but again, it's whenever I see sort of youth doing things that sort of mirror, what adults are trying to do, I just think we should talk about it more. So, you know, in whatever way HRC sort of promotes the great things that go on around town, I think sort of messaging that the things that the students are doing on their own is awesome. Aside from that, I had a sort of a specific question as it relates to, and I noticed it was in the packet, the let me call it up so that I can call it the exact right thing. The packet that sort of denounces sort of, you know,
The proclamation of acceptance or something, something, something.
yes, Town Council Human Rights Proclamation. So I saw it as part of like a 3-board, you know, sort of
Yeah.
proclamation, and we sort of tried to sort of reaffirm it in our last school committee meeting on the back of sort of some of those what I would term kind of outrageous critiques of what was trying to be the work trying to be done around sort of the flag policy. And then, but as you read it, it seems like whenever there would be, I'm trying to see if this is the most recent one. I think the most recent one is the one that has the White Lives Matter comment in it.
Yeah.
And then it seems like this was driven out of the AAPI hate, you know, that was in 2019. I dug into it a little bit. Anyway, as a proclamation, I was trying to get my head around the worth of having like the stacked instances of like that you were speaking out against, or is there a more, should there be a proclamation that's a little more general but still espouses all of the ideas? I feel like we found ourselves sort of reading through it and saying we should take a look at this, you know, as a school committee, and come up with something that sort of just is a consistent sort of support of what we believe in both the freedoms and the rights of sort of, you know, others in our community that might be underrepresented. So I'm just curious, as a Human Rights Commission is another body on this, like, are there any thoughts on, like, when you read it, what are your thoughts on sort of having that space where it's whereas, and it feels like every time something happens, we put another whereas.
I'm so glad you brought this up, Stephen. I will say, I think just as context for what happened, the original statement was written in collaboration between the Human Rights Commission, the Town Council, and the school committee. And it took like a really long time. There's a lot of like edits, and every time it changed, it had to go back around to all the committees, and it was like a whole thing. But then it was approved by all 3 commissions, all 3 bodies. And that was great. And then last year, the Town Council took it, like, wanted to be proactive to reaffirm it in the wake of that, like, White Lives Matter like rally thing, and in the wake of the AAPI, the like AAPI hate stuff. And so that most recent one is signed, I believe, only by the Town Council. And, you know, they met, they edited it, they made some of those changes. And I emailed the chairs of the Town Council and the school committee recently to say, like, can we reaffirm this again, particularly coming off of those hateful, like, comments that have been shared about the Pride flag and the Juneteenth flag. Yeah, so this sort of question came up of the 3 bodies, again, sort of reaffirming it in the, what I will share, if for everybody who hasn't had a chance to watch it, the school committee meeting, the idea came up of kind of making this a regular annual event. So as new members come on to the 3 boards every year, those new members who are newly either elected or appointed have the opportunity to read this document, and then it's all reaffirmed every year, so that every person at the beginning of their term is like coming in with this sort of foundation, which I thought was great. And so then to that, like you're saying, Stephen, it doesn't totally make sense to use the most recent language, which is sort of frozen in time. So those are the background. And then back to your question, Stephen, of what people think would be the best way to formulate a statement around, acceptance and all that.
I love a lot of the language that's in it. It sort of mirrors a lot of what we have in our sort of anti-bullying, sort of diversity inclusion policies. But it seemed to get like, and as you said it, like, hey, I know how hard it can be to sort of get a document approved through. It's hard to get it through one body, never mind like trying to get consensus among 3 bodies, and that varied, group, as wholesome as you think this document might be, it still goes through and people think they could word the sentence a little better. But I'm wondering if it isn't possible to sort of make it more homogeneous with just a general thought. And then, of course, you would say it again, like you could sort of reaffirm it. It's basically saying that hate has no home here, that we don't really stand for this as a body, as a community, as sort of leaders in the community, whether appointed or elected. But yeah, this isn't acceptable. And it's always good to sort of bring it up when something happens in our community. And it also was brought up that it could be reaffirmed, with a new board. So yeah, I just wasn't sure if other people were talking about, if they saw that same kind of clunkiness that happens when we, not to take anything away from those individual incidents, but if that tends to be the cadence, that when something that we do not appreciate happens in our community, that we add another line to it. I see it becoming a very clunky document where it shouldn't be. It should be a very clear and concise, these are our values, these are our principles, this is how we choose to live and how we choose to govern.
Can I ask a question? So Benny, if this was signed by the town council, I guess is the question, can we write our own proclamation that's separate? Or are we thinking that we're just revising this one specifically, and it could take us months to do that? But I guess I'm just not clear, like, if this one is signed by the town council, this is from the town council, are we thinking that we have one that's separate from the HRC?
So the original document was all 3 bodies, and that one, I don't think it becomes unproclaimed. I think it still exists. So my thought was and I offered to Susie to take a stab at doing the edits on that language, present it to all 3 boards for approval, and it would go back to being a tri-board document. But I'm curious what you all thought. So what I would do is do that. The way the meetings fall is it would, if it gets approved by each body and not wordsmithed, it would be approved first by the town council, then by the school committee, and then by us. Just that's how the meetings sort of, how the dates line up. But that would be my hope, is to bring it to the next meeting of each of those boards after the newly appointed members have joined. Or something close-ish, the next meeting, or the second meeting after, whatever, somewhere in there.
I agree with Stephen. I think there are some important dates in here, but generic's not the right word, but sort of a more generic proclamation that still holds up our values and ethics without sort of the specific incidences that have come up.
I think the template that we had put together a couple years ago might go to that. I mean, the problem with it being it feels so, I don't love having to fill in incident here to express outrage here. It feels so inauthentic, but at the same time, I feel like it's the only way to be able to respond in a timely manner and still stay on the right side of the open meeting law. So I don't know. I don't know that there's, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing saying that we couldn't rework that, but having a separate document, I don't know how we would distinguish, like when we use kind of the template document versus another one. Just a thought. But I definitely hear you in terms of it being clunky, and it just seems weird being like, oh, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And it's just, it's weird.
I know, like, I don't, and to your point, Eileen, like the word isn't generic, and I don't want it to sound like it's a boilerplate thing. I don't think of it as being like a rubber stamp thing. I think of something like, from the school perspective, I think of whether it's the middle school, the high school, the elementary schools, like each school has like a set of values that they proclaim, right? And those students that are in those spaces hopefully sort of live and breathe those ideals. And they're all on the same lines, respect each other, equity, just, honor yourselves, that whatever it is. So that's what I think of. I think of sort of, and I love the power of it being sort of a tri-board sort of document, because there is that collaboration that happens between us. And so if that's what I think of it as, is sort of and that's why I like the language that's kind of in it. That just sort of, these are the values that we have sort of as a community. And I don't think of it as being a small thing. I think it's a powerful statement. And I think it's accurate every time. Like, in case you need to be reminded again, this is who we are, not that.
Right.
And I think we have the boilerplate thing, I think, and we could use that sort of in tandem, right? So like if some incident happens, we can use the boilerplate to respond to the specific incident and then include the proclamation to be like, this is where our values lie, rather than having the specific incidents sort of enumerated within the proclamation. I know it is quite late. Are there any other thoughts on this? I can certainly take this. Oh, go ahead, Sherry.
Okay, I want to agree with your last statement. I think that the statement should give the general sense of the values of the community, and then be used as a reminder if there's an incident, when a separate incident letter or document is created. Because times change, and you want something that can be kind of evergreen, that would work in all cases. And then in specific instances, you can address those instances and say, and this is the philosophy of and the values of our town.
That's the word, Sherry. That's the word, evergreen, not generic, evergreen. Good one.
I'm going through this with another group, so evergreen is the word, yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts on that? Any other matters not anticipated? I'm gonna do it before you do it. It is Maria's last meeting on the
Oh, I have that
WHSC.
right. I already put it in the notes. I said, recognize Maria Muti, who has completed her service as of tonight. I even have it already written in.
So here, wait, I'm gonna share my screen really quick. Just as my tiniest little cheesy thing. Thanks, Maria. So Maria's been on the HRC for 6 years.
5 years.
5 years. And has been tireless, served, as you all, or some of you recall, as our as our chair before me and as our secretary and treasurer. And I assume you were also vice chair at some point. I don't remember.
I think so. Yeah.
But 5 years is an incredible chunk of time. And the amount, like each of you can like think about the amount of work that you put in over the past year, multiply that by 5 years, like the amount of like time and love and energy and caring. Like I remember when you would call me about like some particular thing that was coming up that was complicated, you know, and we would check in. So I appreciate you as a special human and your contribution to the HRC over all these years. And this, like, you had to go through some hard, complicated times with the HRC, and you brought so much like love and grace to those moments. So I can't say enough, Maria, how much we appreciate you.
And I want to thank you for helping me through my foot and mouth early experiences on the WHRC. You are a wise woman.
Maria.
Thank you.
Can we still use your basement though for storage?
Absolutely. My basement is open to all of you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That was really sweet of you, Benny, and all of you. It has been one of the biggest honors of my life and one of the biggest challenges of my life. And yeah, I have just, obviously I'm not going anywhere. I'm still in Wakefield, but yeah, my, it just, you know, this every month for the past 5 years, seeing all of your faces and the faces of people that served before you. You know, this town has a lot of good things going for it, and they're all here. So many of them are here on the screen right now. So keep doing this difficult work, and I will see you at events. Sorry, I didn't think I would be crying, but I'm a crier. So, but yes, you have a huge supporter in me. You can always count on me for questions or to vent. And now that I'm no longer on the HRC, I'm happy to be a lot more vocal in my letters to the editor. And so, yeah, I look forward to that as well. So yeah, keep doing this incredibly important, difficult, but essential work, because you make people feel visible and seen, and that is so incredibly important. So thank you.
I wish we were in person so that I could give you a hug.
I know. I'm sending a huge hug to all of you. So yeah, and I'll see you again. I'll see you around town.
And before we all start crying, should we make a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
It's not like you're moving away.
No, I'm not moving away. Nope, I'll be here.
Thank you,
Make sure you
Maria.
vote next Tuesday. That's all.
yes.
So I will make a motion to adjourn.
Your final act.
Yes.
Final act.
Seconded.
All righty, Sherry, what do you say?
I say it's time to go to bed. Yes.
Daniela,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
I say yes, and Maria.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, bye everybody. Thank you
Good
for
night.
sticking it out.